wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. This is Steve coming to you from the Stoa in Conway, Arkansas. I'd like to thank some of those who make the show possible, all of my patrons, especially my newest patrons, Thomas and Sean. Thank you so much for supporting the Sunday Stoic. Without your help, I would not be able to afford to keep the show going because it costs money to do this, believe it or not. Especially if I want to keep some of the older shows available to the public. I have to pay money every year, and this makes it possible, and I have to buy microphones and all that sort of stuff. So thank you so much. And you don't have to give financially to support the show. You could share it on social media, send it to a friend, give it good reviews on whatever platform you listen, and that will go a long ways to promoting the show, to getting more listeners. So thank you to those of you listening who can do that. I know most of you will not, but some of you will. So come on, go ahead and do it. It'll make you feel good. You know it will. How are you doing? The world is still an unusual place. I don't need to remind you of that if you're listening to this live with the COVID epidemic going on. I'm recording this on the 24th of April. I know I'm about to enter a summer semester here in June where I'll be teaching entirely online, and I know that will be different, although it's kind of like podcasting, so it's not crazy different, right? I'll be teaching biology on the internet. We'll see how that goes. I've never taught a class before where I haven't met my students in person, at least for a while, so that'll be a little bit different. But there's a lot online right now about Stoicism and pandemic. And so I've talked about it myself on previous shows. I thought today I'd steer into a different place. Some mental health. Particularly for me, things that I usually feel very deeply are guilt and anxiety. Maybe it's my Catholic upbringing. I don't know. But I know that if something weighs on me a little bit, like something makes me feel a little guilty, then I often stew on it, and my mind won't let it go. It's some sort of weird mental thing where I can't let it go until I either rectify it or enough time passes that I learn to let it settle, let the waters clear, and the murk settle to the bottom. And it takes time for me. I know my dad has a similar thing. My poor 98-year-old grandmother, who you all wished a happy birthday for recently, she fell and broke her leg. And she is in a nursing home now, undergoing painful physical therapy, and no one can visit her. And I know my dad has a lot of what ifs, and what about this, and what about that, and what are we going to do, and what if this happens? And it runs through his head. And I have the same issue, which is why I value Stoicism. I wish that when you learned about the dichotomy of control, that it was like a switch and you could just act that way and shut off those anxieties. But I know it takes patience and practice. So I want to hear from the three Stoics today on readings that I think will help us to think about guilt or anxiety. Now, what would cause guilt? I think guilt comes from, well, of course, if you know you've done something wrong. And the Stoics say if you do wrong, you're really only hurting yourself. And in many ways, that's true, because I feel it when I know I've done something wrong. Now, the trick is there's probably a lot of things we do wrong that we don't think of as wrong. And those are probably the worst evils. The ones that you know about, you might not do again in the future. You've learned from it. That is your penance, right? But the things that we do that we don't catch and we don't feel guilty about, those are the ones that are real blights on our souls, if you will. Things that are stains upon our character. So those are things to think about. But anxiety often arises for me worrying about things that often do not happen, or things that might happen, or things that you know will happen that are unpleasant, and it's hard to quit picturing them. Even when you lay down to sleep, it can come up again and again. So I want to talk a little bit about what the Stoics would have to say about that. Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, number 5, on the philosopher's mean.
But I wish to share with you today's profit also. I find in the ratings of our Hecato that the limiting of desire helps to cure fears. Cease to hope, he says, and you will cease to fear. But how, you will reply, can things so different go side by side? In this way, my dear Lucilius, though they do seem at variance, yet they are really united, just as the same chain fastens the prisoner and the soldier who guards him. So hope and fear, dissimilar as they are, keep step together. Fear follows hope. I am not surprised that they proceed in this way. Each alike belong to a mind that is in suspense, a mind that is fretted by looking forward to the future. But the chief cause of both these ills is that we do not adapt ourselves to the present, but send our thoughts a long way ahead. And so, foresight, the noblest blessing of the human race, becomes perverted. Beasts avoid the dangers which they see, and when they have escaped them, are free from care. But we men torment ourselves over that which is to come as well as over that which is past. Many of our blessings bring bane to us, for memory recalls the tortures of fear, while foresight anticipates them. The present alone can make no man wretched. Farewell.
The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 8. Number 17.
If a thing is in your power, why do you do it? But if it is in the power of another, whom do you blame? The atoms, or chance, or the gods, both are foolish. You must blame nobody. For if you can, correct that which is the cause. But if you cannot do this, correct at least the thing itself. But if you cannot do this, of what use is it to you to find fault? For nothing should be done without a purpose.
The Discourses of Epictetus, chapter 16, that we do not strive to use our opinions about good and evil.
What do we admire? Externals. About what things are we busy? Externals. And have we any doubt, then, why we fear or why we are anxious? What then happens when we think the things which are coming upon us to be evils? It is not in our power not to be afraid. It is not in our power not to be anxious. Then we say, Lord God, how shall I not be anxious? Fool, have you not hands? Did not God make them for you? Sit down now and pray that your nose may not run. Wipe yourself rather, and do not blame him. Well then, has he given you nothing in the present case? Has he not given to you endurance? Has he not given to you magnanimity? Has he not given to you manliness? Then, when you have such hands, do you still look for one who shall wipe your nose? But we neither study these things nor care for them.
All right, so Seneca is telling us to live in the present. We have the great gift to foresee the future, but we often misuse it and use it to cause anxiety. We've done this reading at least once before, but it's a really powerful one. An animal, a beast, he says, if it sees a danger, it will flee the danger, and then the next thing you know, it'll be grazing again or drinking at the watering hole. It will let go of the past, but we hold on to that and replay it in our minds over and over again, and we feel bad about it. And then we fear what will happen tomorrow. We fear things in the future. So we have the ability to foresee the future, and sometimes we might be right about the bad things that will happen, but often we're not. But either way, we can't do anything about those things now. He suggests we live in the present as much as possible. To not worry about fear or hope, he says. Both of those are two sides of the same coin, but instead to work on what we can do right now. Likewise, in Marcus Aurelius, we see that he says, Well, try to correct the problem if there's a problem. If you can't correct the problem, maybe you can negate its effects in some way. If you can't do that, maybe you shouldn't blame anyone and just let it go. So try to take action if you can. If you cannot take action, maybe there's something you can do to make it a little bit better. If you can't do that, well, just let it go. And with Epictetus as well, he tells us to, once again, take action if possible. You have a runny nose. Why cry to the gods for help when the gods give you hands to wipe your nose? You have the tools at your disposal to do something about it. So, we know that if there's something we can do to alleviate guilt, to alleviate anxiety, go ahead and work on those things. If you're worried about your taxes, go ahead and work on them. If there's something you did 5 years ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever that's nagging at you, you know it was the wrong thing. You had a lapse of judgment. You're a human being. First of all, you can forgive yourself. But if you hurt someone, try to make it up to them. Now, what if you told them a lie or you did something that they don't even know you did that was wrong, and to bring it up to them would hurt them further? So you've hurt yourself by doing the act. They are kind of in the dark about it. Well, to bring it up to them, you have to weigh it out. You have to use logic. What do I do in this situation? If bringing it up would hurt them worse, maybe you just let it go. And you tell yourself that you will have to do better next time and you will have to forgive yourself. It depends on the situation. If it's anxiety, there are things that we just cannot do anything about. We might be able to do a few things to get ready for something that we know is coming. But if we just sit here and stew on things over and over and ruminate on things like I am so good at doing, just rumination, it ruins the present. And the present is all we have. The present moment is life. The future is not guaranteed and the past is dead. We can live now. We can make the best now. We can make up for things we've done now, or we can forgive ourselves now. We can call our mothers if we're lucky enough to still have them now. We can't promise ourselves that we can do it tomorrow because we don't know what tomorrow holds. So live now. Now, that doesn't mean neglect the future. We have the power to plan. And if there are things we know we need to work on to get ready for tomorrow, we can do it. But to sit there and to feel bad about things in the past and to sit here and feel bad about things that haven't happened is insanity. And we can do better than that. It just takes training. You are deep down in there a good person. No need to beat yourself up over mistakes you made yesterday, mistakes you made an hour ago. Learn from them. Forgive yourself, make up for them where possible, and climb this mountain with me. We're climbing up, trying to be better people. We slip, we fall, we fail. If we didn't slip, fall, and fail, we would be gods already, and that is not who we are. We are but humans making our way up the side of this mountain towards a little bit of self-improvement. All right, gang. Hang in there. Have a good week. Seize the day. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review The Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, carpe diem.